Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here with me today. My name is Kelly Egan, and this is Nothing But Tracks. Like I said last time on my last episode, I have officially launched an Instagram account. It is Nothing But Tracks on Instagram, and that's where I'm going to post these pictures and things that I talk about on my episodes. Pictures of my travel journal, pictures of me with a little broken arm when I was a little girl, pictures of my vacation to Assateague Island with my friend Amanda, and the Hampton Inn that we stayed in that saved our bacon. So I'm just going to get right into it today. This is episode 4 of Nothing But Tracks, and today is a really easy one. It's a really easy rule. Rule number 4, pack extra blankets. Guys, it is so easy. Don't bring a whole bunch. Don't bring like a whole bag of blankets, but do yourself a favor and go get some pretty decent blankets. Now, I don't mean a big fuzzy plush blanket. My dad was in the military, and he has all of these old wool army blankets. Yes, wool is scratchy, but wool does this really, really cool thing. When it gets wet, it still keeps you warm. Growing up, my dad had all these extra army stuff that he had from his time in the military. He had hats, jackets, BDUs, I think is what the over jacket is called, warm poncho liners, this kind of stuff. Now, military grade stuff is made to last and to save your life. They are really, really nice to use in a lot of different ways. You don't just have to use it as a blanket. Usually what we do is when we're packing up the car is we take one of the army blankets and line the trunk with it. You lay it down before you put any gear in, and that way if something scratches up the back or something is clinking around as you're driving, you can go back there and wrap it up with an army blanket. And so you can kind of use the army blankets to pack the little spaces so things don't move around or clink around too much as you go. So we always take one army blanket and lay it down as like a mat in the back of the car so it doesn't scratch up the interior of my dad's car. Then we, throw our stuff in, try to pack it as best as we can. And I will do a whole episode on the art of packing a car for a road trip, because there's actually a lot to it. If you like high stakes Tetris, you will love packing a car. I'm telling you, you pack your car 4 or 5 times before you're ready to go. Or at least I do. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Who knows? Anyway, take one of those blankets, lay it down in the back of the car. Protect your car, throw your stuff in on top, and then if you have a vehicle like mine where the trunk is not necessarily enclosed and it's like a hatchback, you have that window. So then I'll take one extra army blanket and lay it on top, so that way I don't get any weird reflections as I'm driving. So you can take those blankets with you without having to give it its own designated bag. Use it to pack the spaces in between. Use it to keep things from clunking around. So use them smartly. Don't just throw them in there. Use them smartly. And as you pack and as you travel more, you'll kind of see if you do travel a lot, you know exactly what I mean. If you're new to it, you'll learn. You'll see why it's so important to take them. So I would recommend army blankets. There's all kinds of army surplus stores where you can get them pretty cheap. And it doesn't matter if you destroy it, because honestly, my dad has army blankets that are older than I am, and they are still going strong. So take those blankets with you. And then if you're tent camping, there was this one time, I can't remember where we were, but it was cold. It was really, really cold, and we were not prepared for the cold. So my dad had taken one of these army blankets and put it up between the tent and the fly of our tent and kind of tied it up there as a form of insulation for the tent. It actually kept the tent really, really warm. And like I said, if wool gets wet, it'll still keep you warm. So even though it was soaked by the next morning and there was water in the tent and it was a mess, we were warm. And another nice thing too is if you're tent camping and you're sleeping on the ground or on a cot, you take one of those army blankets and you lay it on the ground. You lay your mattress pad down, or your thermarest or your cot, and you lay that between you and whatever surface you're sleeping on. So if you're sleeping on the ground, throw that on the ground between you. If you're sleeping on a cot, throw that on the cot first, then put your sleeping bag down. Because you get cold from underneath, okay? So especially if you're sleeping on the ground, that ground is cold. So you put an extra layer between you and the ground, and that helps keep you warm. And if you don't have a thermarest or anything, that will help keep you from having a decent night's sleep so you won't have rocks jamming into your hip or whatever. I'm a side sleeper, guys. I am a side sleeper, and I hate sleeping on the ground. My dad also has these old army cots that I think he got from a PX somewhere in Germany. And those things rock, dude. They're a pain in the butt to put up, but they rock. So take that army blanket, lay it on the ground, lay it on your cot to help insulate you so you don't get cold at night. So that's just a couple different ways you can use army blankets. I'm just going to keep talking about different ways to use them because there's a lot of different uses and functions for them. They really are one of the more versatile pieces of gear that I think you can have. Another thing, oh my God, I just thought of the best example. When I was a little girl, my dad and my brothers, my dad was a Webelos scout leader and my brothers were both Webelos. And I was kind of an honorary Webelo. I would go with them on camping trips and stuff because it was just us three, my dad, my brothers, and I. So I would go with them on these trips because Dad couldn't leave me at home. And I can't exactly remember where it was. I want to say it was Woodland Trails or something in Ohio. I can't remember exactly. But my dad had this old station wagon. And it was wet and cold, and all these cars were getting stuck in the mud trying to get back there. And my dad took us three kids and that car back through this really muddy, really rocky area and just gunned it through there. And we actually ended up getting through. However, in the process of doing it, my dad, he hit a tree, and when he hit a tree, the back windshield of our car just shattered. I mean, it actually shattered. And you know the funniest part is that that's not the first time we broke that windshield. I think we broke that windshield 4 or 5 different times, guys. I'm sorry, it's not that funny, but it was funny to me. And granted, we didn't lose any of our gear, so I don't know how my dad packed that car up, but he packed it like a wizard. We didn't lose any gear. But when we were getting stuff out of the car, when we got to the campsite, Dad obviously went through and was pulling stuff out. And so there was just this glass all over our car. So Dad had an army blanket. He always brings some. And so he laid it down kind of over the entire back seat. So if there was any glass back there, we wouldn't be sitting on it. And obviously when we get home, we got to one of those car washes with those really high-powered vacuum cleaners. There was glass in that car for weeks, guys. I'm pretty sure there was still some stuck in the back speakers. Because whenever the music was really loud, you could always hear this kind of rattling that wasn't there before. God, I love that car. That car was awesome. But yeah, he took that army blanket and laid it down to kind of protect us from the glass that was in the car. You can use them as picnic blankets. We have a little dog. Her name's Izzy. And she is an Italian Greyhound, so she doesn't have a lot of body weight or a lot of body fur. Her fur is like eyelashes, and she gets really, really cold. But she's also litter box trained. So if we're tent camping, sometimes Dad'll grab a towel or he'll grab an army blanket and lay it down for her in the tent and say, "This is where you go potty." And she will. She'll go potty on it. So she'll usually it's a towel, but sometimes if we forget one, we just take an army blanket with us and then we wash it when we get home. Really, it's so versatile. I can't say it enough. It really is the most versatile piece of gear you can have, especially if you don't have to worry about ripping it or breaking it or they're not cute, they're not pretty, so you don't have that to worry about. You don't have to worry about destroying it because they're relatively cheap, I think. So do yourself a favor, go find an Army surplus store and go get 2 or 3 of them. I have one in the backseat of my car right now. I always just keep one in the back of my car for emergencies. Like if I break down and it's freezing, or I'm a big animal lover, so I would be the kind of person that would go out and pick up a stray animal that had been hit. You can use it to wrap up an animal. A lot of times Izzy will get cold and we'll lay one out for her and she'll lay down on it. Obviously not the one she goes potty on. We're not animals. But yeah, do yourself a favor and go get some blankets. Go get some Army blankets and take them with you. 2 or 3, 4 max. If you have a big family, get 4. If it's just you and a couple other people that are older and adults, take 2. But really, they will help you, and especially if you're not afraid of getting it dirty. So yeah, that's it for you guys. Rule number 4, just get yourself some Army blankets and take them with you. So that's it. Thanks all so much for being here with me today. Check out my Instagram account. I'll take some pictures of my dad's Army blankets and show you a couple different ways that we used them in the past, and I'll post them on there. So that's it. Guys, thanks so much for being here. Remember, leave it better than how you found it out there, and take nothing but memories and leave nothing but tracks. Bye!